Hey everybody, it's Brian with Sage Hypnotherapy. Today I wanted to take a little bit of your time and talk to you a little bit about filters, mental filters, primarily in the way that we use them that create cognitive distortion, or it kind of changes the way we perceive things. This is all about perception. You know, when we think about it, and we notice this all the time, when you and I go to an event together, we may go to a conference. When it's over, you and I will have completely different takeaways from the conference, different articles and items that are important to us, different approaches that we got from it. You may have really liked it. I may not have liked it. In fact, recently, my wife and I took a trip back to New York for some training I did for this new approach I'm using called havening, and we went to the 9/11 museum. My wife really liked it. She said it was a little overwhelming, and I did not like it. I felt it was exploitative, and I didn't like it at all. And nothing about the museum changed. There was no difference, but we each perceive the world through our own filters. And that's natural, and that's normal. The problem comes in is when we start to perceive our world through some negative filters. And I want to talk to you a little bit about these filters today to just allow you to be aware of them and maybe kind of analyze your situation and think, gee, do I do that? Maybe I can look at things differently. The four filters are generalization, deletions, distortions, and personalization. The first one, generalization, it's where we take one specific incident and we apply it to everything. So you had an ex who did you wrong, and then that becomes all women did you wrong, are going to do you wrong. You can't trust any women, or you can't trust any men. You know, you may have had an incident with somebody of a particular religion or a race, or even just somebody that lives in that part of town, and then, oh, everybody over there is bad. Everybody over there cheats. Everybody over there steals. Everybody over there behaves in a certain manner. That's generalization. And I think you can rightly understand that when we view the world in that way, it's unfair to not only everyone else, because we're creating stereotypes that aren't factual, they're just perception based on our own filters, our own fears, our own anxieties. But it does a disservice to you as well, because it really shuts you down from being able to experience life to its fullest by narrowing your I guess willingness to be open to different ideas and thoughts. You know, we see this a lot with especially in politics right now. It's all, oh, those Democrats, or all those Republicans, when it's not every single one of them. You know, all of those libertarians, all those, you know, Greenpeace people, or tree huggers, and, you know, whatnot. So generalization is one that, you know, we fall into easily, frequently, without thinking about it. The next one is deletions. And it's always easy to remember our good things and delete our negative things. We're always doing what we can. Our subconscious mind wants us to avoid pain. In fact, your subconscious mind will not really do anything or allow you to do anything that it perceives as harmful to you. Our minds and our bodies are designed to heal and to move forward. So it's kind of wacky, but even if you're a smoker, your subconscious mind believes it validates you in some way. It's real weird. So even our negative behaviors, our subconscious mind will allow us to continue behaving this way because it protects us. It meets some sort of need. Well, deletions, in some regards, when we perceive our world are necessary. When we're trying to get something done, we need to focus. We will delete sounds from around us, the sounds from the cars outside. Maybe you live near an airport, you learn to tune that out. You've got people talking in the office next to you. So deletions are not necessarily always a bad thing, but it's when you are willing to delete aspects of a situation in order to punish yourself. And that's just one very simple example. So, and we've all done this. You've done a really good job. You got that project completed. You worked really hard on it, and 15 people gave you attaboys and kudos, and they said, that was wonderful. That was amazing. You did superb. And one person says, oh, I probably would have used Comic Sans as the font on the report. And then that's all we can think about. Then we use that one negative comment, because we've deleted all the positive ones. We use the one negative one to kick the snot out of ourselves. And that's not good. Usually that's what also reinforces our anxiety and our depression and things of that nature. So, when we start to focus on why people don't like me, why people don't like what I've done, rather than all of the other people that have been very supportive and have really appreciated what I've done, that's when it starts to become detrimental to us. So the third filter is distortions. And distortions are kind of like misreading situations in order to victimize ourselves. For an example, you're working, your boss comes in, your boss doesn't say hello to you, and you internalize that, and you've distorted that because now you're thinking, oh, the boss doesn't like me. The boss is angry with me. The boss is going to fire me, and usually it snowballs. What did I do wrong? And then you start, ruminating, going on about that, when in all actuality, your boss may have just had a flat tire, or gotten into a fight with their spouse, or they're going through something major, having an issue, and their walking in didn't pertain to you at all. But we come up with our own interpretation of reality and its meanings. And when we start to see things that aren't really there, that becomes harmful to us, because I guarantee it, the people around you aren't seeing the situation the same way. And could you imagine if you just went into your boss and you initiated and say, hey, good morning, I missed you on the way in. And your boss would probably say, oh, good morning, I'm sorry, I have a lot on my mind. It's amazing what communication can do. But, think about the number of conversations that you've been involved with, or interactions where you have gotten the wrong end of the stick, as it were. You've misread somebody. In fact, recently actually just yesterday, I was doing a session, and I was sitting closer to the client, and I said, is this okay? I was a decent distance, but the client said, no, that's a little close. Now, to me, I don't have a problem with it at all. It's easy. I can move back. That's not a big deal for what I do with hypnosis. It's not an issue. The client contacted me later and said, I'm sorry that I offended you, when I asked you to, scooch back. And to me, it wasn't a big deal. To me, it's just the nature of what I do. If I'm sitting too close, because I want to be heard or whatever, whatever it is, I can scooch back. That's not an issue. But the client said, you seem taken aback. And you say, well, this was all in the client's, from the client's perspective, because she felt bad that I might have been uncomfortable, when the fact was I wasn't uncomfortable at all. And my whole goal with my clients is their comfort and their safety when they're in my office. So that was a really interesting dynamic and a really good example of the distortion. And that can be really detrimental because that gets you focused on yourself all the time, going, oh, I've done this wrong, I've done that wrong, they don't like me, he didn't say hi to me. Or, you may have waved to somebody and they didn't see you and they didn't wave back, and so you're thinking, oh, why are they mad at me? Why don't they like me? When the fact was is they just didn't wave back, or likely that person could have been blind. Could be one of a million things, and literally one of a million things. It reminds me of when I talk to people about getting cut off on the road. 99.9% of the time, it's an accident. It's not personal. But how do many of us react, right? Most of us are like, oh, they died on purpose. They're doing that. They're trying to run me off the road. And I mean, I get it. It's scary. It jolts you. You're not expecting it. But when you step back a little bit and you kind of reframe it and you think, well, gee, it could be a multitude of things. Not this person out to get me or run me off the road, but what if you consider this? What if the person that had cut you off was a mother who was driving and her son just started choking on something? Well, now she's trying to take care of that issue, or maybe it's a woman driving along who starts getting chest pains, and it could be just anything. But frequently we take it, we distort the situation, and we give meaning, we give intention to a situation that doesn't necessarily have intention. I mean, let's be honest. If somebody's really trying to run us off the road or do us harm, it's usually pretty obvious. It's not going to be some accidental jolt. You're going to know it's coming. And if not, then they're going to know, right? Now, the last filter is personalization. And I think we've all been guilty of this, and that's where we have taken responsibility for everything that happens in our lives, whether it is our direct responsibility or not. One example that I heard recently was about a couple went to a dinner party and the dinner was overcooked. The cook had just overcooked the dinner, and one of the spouses took full responsibility for it. They were a little bit late to the party, and the whole time they were just like, well, I'm sorry, if we weren't late, you wouldn't have left the food in so long, it wouldn't have been overcooked, this is our fault. I should have gotten on my spouse to get here sooner. And when the reality was, they took that entire episode and they made it about them. They owned it. They victimized themselves when everyone else at the table thought nothing of it. The cook just overcooked the meal. These things happen. But personalization is a major trigger to blame yourself, to kick yourself. And most of the time, it has nothing to do with you at all. And I've had clients and I've known people, I have had relatives that have taken responsibility for things that weren't even in their realm of consciousness. And when people do that to me, it offends me. When I have a dilemma or an issue that I'm responsible for, that I'm trying to deal with, and somebody else is trying to take responsibility, well, if I would have done this, then you wouldn't have had to do that. You know what? Let me deal with my issues, because what's happening here is, in your need to blame yourself, you're taking the attention away from me being able to deal with the issue effectively and appropriately. And you know what, frankly, my issues are my issues, and I want to be responsible for them. Even if I've done something stupid, that's me. That's on me. I don't always feel good about it, but I can't make growth, and I can't improve, and I can't solve my problems if somebody else is constantly taking ownership of it. And maybe you do this. Maybe you do one of these four. I think we all do these to a greater or lesser degree. They're just kind of natural filters we use to kind of protect ourselves. And, so I just wanted to make you aware of this, allow you to kind of think about these filters. How do you use these filters? Do you use these filters? And think about it. Maybe take a day and think about how you react and you respond to people. Obviously, if you do something, then take responsibility for it. Apologize. That's what apologies are for. It's kind of funny. I remember When I was a teacher, I had a student that bumped another student on accident. I said, well, you feel free to apologize. And he said, well, no, I didn't mean to do it. I was like, well, that's what apologies are for. It's when we don't mean to do something. If I meant to do something, you're probably not getting an apology out of me. If I meant to bump you, then I'm not going to apologize for that. Although I probably won't do that unless you're my brother or my cousin. Or maybe my dad. It all depends on my mood. So I'm just kidding. So I'd like you to kind of maybe take a look at the way that you interact with people. What filters are you using? What is your perception? How do you perceive what's going on? And which of these filters do you use? Do you rely on one of these more often than the others? Do you personalize a lot more? Do you generalize things that one person or one group of people does something and you generalize that to everybody? Which of these have you done in the past, or which of these do you notice a lot of people doing? I sense you get to see a range of these. If you watch the news at all, you're going to see this throughout all these different filters. If you work in a large business or a small business, if you have relatives, if you breathe, you're going to see these filters get used, because once again, we want to minimize the pain that we feel. And what's ironic, totally ironic and wacky and backwards, is that even with the personalization where we are punishing ourselves, allowing ourselves to become the victim of this circumstance, that actually meets some sort of need. It's crazy. It validates you somehow. And who knows, it could be any way of a million ways. Considering these filters, what sort of countermeasures do you put in place to reduce the likelihood of falling into those patterns? What sort of countermeasures could you put in place to change these behaviors? What can you do to be proactive? Because I'm sure when you recognize that these filters are not beneficial, and really most all of them make you the victim daily, and very few of us want to be victims, just as a way of life. What can you do to change that dynamic? And just think about it. If you have any thoughts or ideas, please share them in any of the comments, whether it be on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, wherever I'm posting this. If you have any of these issues and you'd like to get some more information about ways to approach it, or you just want to share some thoughts or ideas, feel free to give me a call at 760-985-8270. You can email me at SageHypnosisCenter@gmail.com, or you can go to SageHypnotherapy.com and just check things out. You can send me a message through there. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say and what your take on this is. And maybe you've noticed how, maybe you can share, if you have used these in the past, how you have felt that they've protected you or they've validated you in some way. I really appreciate you taking this time, and I'd really appreciate it if you would like this video and share this video. Comment on the video. I really enjoy the comments. I like the interaction. And questions for me, leave them there. I'm happy to share ideas and thoughts. That's one of the reasons why I do what I do. If you'd like more information about hypnotherapy, but I said like hypnotherapy, or my coaching, or the new approach I'm using called havening techniques, which is mind-boggling on its own, and I'll do a video about that soon. Really, we're knocking out traumas in 15 minutes. I mean, deep-seated stuff too. But yeah, get a hold of me. Once again, 760-985-8270, SageHypnosisCenter@gmail.com, and SageHypnotherapy.com. And thank you. Thank you for watching. It means a lot to me, and I appreciate it. So, everybody, until we meet again, inhale relaxation. And exhale tension, and be well.